Good morning. Welcome to the Shelbyville Now weekend wrap up. Don't adjust your set. This is not the normal configuration here. I'm Josh Blevins. I'm here this morning with Mr. Bill Anderson. Our normal host, Dave Thomas, is he's on a little bit of a break for a couple weeks, so he may or may not be sitting on a beach somewhere soon. But in the meantime, we're filling in for him, and we've had another exciting week here in Shelbyville and Bedford County. Actually, a little slower than most weeks as far as government meetings and whatnot. We're getting into election time. Things are kind of cruising along, but a few things happen that we were going to talk about. But before we do that, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, Mr. Dennis Young Insurance.
With the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
Want to thank Dennis Young Insurance for sponsoring us as always. And normally at this point, we're going to jump right into the week that happened, but we're going to go backwards a little bit, Bill, because for over a year now, I've been covering the possible water issues with TDEC, where they're looking to give us some permits for the amount of water that we're pulling out of the Duck River. And I hadn't been checking their site on a regular basis because things have been quiet since December. So, and here we're at October. And then it was a slow week, so I went on the TDEC website and looked at what was going on, and a letter had appeared on there in the month of July that I had missed. And we're going to go backwards to July and discuss this. This was a letter from a Greg Davenport at J.R. Wofford, and they're an engineering firm out of Nashville, and they submitted some water statistics to TDEC, and they're in support of us getting a higher limit on our water usage for the city. And they, according to them, examining the data, the highest day withdrawal, millions of gallons per day, occurred on January 19th of this year at 8.53 million gallons per day. Currently, Shelbyville Power has 10,358 water customers. The city has permitted construction on an additional 2,394 and has 1,345 units which are proposed, which they didn't even include those units in this. So they did a 5-year calculation based on what's already approved by the city. Right. And based on their calculations, at a 5-year peak, we would hit 10.5 million gallons per day taken out of the Duck River. So that's a problem because our max capacity of our plant is 10 million gallons a day. So we keep approving all this construction, and at some point there's a limit.
Well, there's a problem too here, and let's go over to Marshall County.
Yep.
Okay, how come it's not a problem for us, but they can't build a subdivision of over 5 houses because of the water limitations there?
Right.
It carries on to Spring Hill, it carries into Hickman County, all the way down the Duck River.
Yeah,
it's a problem, and it's been a problem, and I've heard the state say it was a problem. You know, everybody else is being told slow down, slow down. Woodbury, because of the Stones River, a little different. Cannon County's all but halted it because of the water issue.
Right.
Because if you drop, as we've heard calculations, the river 2 inches. I live on the Duck River. You're going to have spots of the Duck River that the water's not flowing if you went down 2 inches. Because there's a lot of this river here in town that you can walk across it.
Oh, yeah, especially when we have drought like we've had recently. I mean, we've not had rain in a number of days again. And, yeah, when we have periods like that.
I want to bring something else up that I have wondered for, and I've said this in commission meetings before, is if you want more water, too, somebody needs to get with TVA and talk about winter pool. Because what we do in October, is the Duck River about flood control and Normandy Dam, or is it about water for us to drink and our livelihood? Right. Now, TVA is going to tell you it's about flood control, and I'm all about flood control. But what we do is we lower that river, the lake, let's say some years 20 feet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and you do it from October all the way till March before they start to fill it back up. Well, in 2007, if you all remember, Normandy almost went dry because what happened was you lowered it a ridiculous amount, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you didn't get the rain. And next thing you know, the lake nearly went dry almost. It was the worst I'd ever seen it.
Right.
Well, that affects your flow because you got to flow so much through there and you've only got so much water. So one thing that would benefit everybody is if we could sit down with them and say, hey, guys, let's never lower it over 5 feet.
Right.
And that way you're holding water back and not putting yourself in a situation. Because to me, when you go down to winter pool, which that's way more than it used to be, you're just wasting that water.
Right.
See what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
You're not generating power. You don't have a power thing on the dam.
Yeah.
And I would think that public officials could sit down with TVA and say, hey, guys, can we work this out somehow?
Right.
Because I don't remember, because I fish all the time for years, until we worked on the dam over at Tim's Ford. Okay.
Yeah.
They were working on, so all of a sudden that became winter pool, and we started about 97, 98 of really lowering these lakes much lower. So that would give us a water buffer if we didn't do that. I'll give you an example. Woods Reservoir is run by the Corps of Engineers over
Yeah.
on Elk River. It never deviates over 2 feet, ever.
Yet we're lowering 20 feet.
Yeah, we're going
sometimes in the
20
winter.
feet. You see where
Yeah.
this is an issue
Sure.
that
Yeah.
applies to this too.
Yeah. And I think in general, if these calculations are right, and this, I mean, this company out of Nashville, I don't think they have a dog in the hunt. So they're just given the math. If we're already looking at a 5-year peak above our max, I mean, why aren't we taking more aggressive action on this? Why are we
Other
just
counties are being
continuing
told do
to?
it. How are we not? Eventually, they're going to tell us we can't. It's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
don't know
I
when
mean,
is.
TDEC still has the option of not even giving us 10 million gallons a day. So that was their initial proposal. So it's actually been a full year that we've been waiting for ruling from them. I believe the initial public comment ended like in September of last year. So we're still kind of waiting there. But at some point, city officials are going to need to take some kind of action on that.
And you got
so,
Bedford Utility pulling too.
yeah,
So,
you
I
got
mean,
B
you know,
cut as well. Yeah.
So
So yeah, there's a lot of people
it's not
pulling out
just
that
Shelbyville.
river. So
Yes,
it's
there
not
are.
just the city. So it's county as well. So.
The county's a lot more users, I would assume, a whole lot more.
Well, you got a lot of people in the city. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know the
County's
number of
still bigger.
customers in the county. So now going back to the week that did just
Okay.
happen, Tuesday evening, you were there. I was there. County committee meetings met, and the big item of discussion was the bylaws.
Uh-huh.
We have been talking about those bylaws since at least
We have.
March. So yeah, it goes back a ways.
And I know Commissioner Vick was wanting us to speed this up. Here's
Right.
my thing when we were sitting there. We were still changing stuff the other night.
Oh, there was all kinds of discussion. Yeah,
And I
nothing
mean,
is set in stone at this
that's
point.
why it's
Yeah,
taking so long. Is
Right.
You still got typos. And Commissioner Yockey's worked really hard on this.
Yeah.
But we're changing stuff. And there was 2 new things on there this time.
right.
That 60-day limit thing was on there.
Yeah, the 60-day limit, there's a lot of discussion on that, as in they're wanting to make sure that these committees can hold up
And
items.
I've never known us to hold up anything. But
Yeah,
you
I
need
don't-
to have your information.
Right.
As I said in the meeting before, and when you put a 60-day time limit on something, you may not even have all the information in 60 days to have made the decision. And that's where you get yourself in some trouble.
Right. Yeah, you've got to do your due diligence. Not to go back to an item that we've really worn out on the show, but that bundle deal that they passed back in, I mean, that was 6 months ago. We're still sitting here now in October, 6 months later, and 4 of those 5 projects in that bundle, we still don't have a dollar amount on those things yet. Due diligence, in my opinion, still isn't finished on those 4
I don't
projects.
disagree.
And I mean, we've blown past them. I mean, there's no more votes happening on those. So yeah, so the 60-day was not good. And the other big discussion was conflict of interest. They added a new section pulled straight from TCA 55112A. It says no member of the legislative body of a county who is also an employee of the same county or whose spouse is an employee of the same county may vote on matters in which such member has a conflict of interest. A conflict of interest includes items which could increase the pay or benefits of that member or that member's spouse. So this has been something David and I have talked about a lot over the years. So
You've heard me bring it up.
and you have
And
as
you
well.
just read it. You
We
just
just
read
read it right out of
But
TCA.
wait a minute. It's
Yeah.
okay if you bundle it. It's okay to so it's not a conflict if you bundle it.
Right,
A conflict is a conflict is a conflict.
right. Yeah,
You
should
ought at least, as several former commissioners came to me after that meeting, not only anymore, were there before me and said, well, used to you had to read.
had to read a statement
One
saying,
commissioner said you couldn't
Yeah.
vote for a while once you read it. The other one said you could, but you had to read it. Well, now we
Right.
don't even read the conflict anymore.
no, we just vote on it. And that's been what we've discussed on the show a lot is, do we even really need to have county employees sitting on that county commission when they're voting on their own, how much they get paid? So
And
it seems like a
I've always
conflict.
said
Yeah,
this too,
just
and then it's what point are you representing the folks out there versus your job?
versus
That's
your
where
jobs
to me, that's still a
or,
conflict.
yeah,
I'm
or
sorry.
your department, whatever
Well, your
department you're in.
department,
Yeah,
what comes
yeah.
first, the voter or your department?
Or your department. So, and I know my good friend Jay Graham likes to always pick on me every time I talk about this and call me a communist because, the voters should decide on who gets into the county commission. But I think we've got 50-some thousand people living in the county. We can't find 18 that don't work for
Well,
the county.
Look at the
So,
city, which is run
yeah.
differently. The city's a charter.
Right.
It would have to that would to not be able to do it would have to come from the legislature. And I believe
Right.
there's something up there along those lines that I heard was there.
Right. And actually, in the charter currently, if you're a city employee, you cannot sit on the city
You
council.
cannot sit
So,
under the city. So
yeah,
you
on the
can't.
city. Yeah.
But I think there's some. I was told the state legislature about possibly, but even if they did it, they're going to
Right.
grandfather in everybody who's already here.
Everybody that's
It'll be
already
everything
there.
going forward.
So, yeah. So there'll be, I mean, again, they've added a lot more conflict of interest language into the bylaws this
But if
time.
you bundle it, none of it matters.
Right. Are they going to make him at least make the statement? We don't know until next
Right.
budget year. So, yeah, we'll see how it
And
goes.
to me, it's just, and I said it the other night, you heard me say it, conflict's
Yeah.
a conflict. I mean, I don't see how you get around it because you bundle it together. That's another reason not to bundle it.
Right. Yeah. Don't bundle
Because
it.
to
And-
me, and I'll just say this from a budget standpoint, you cannot cut the sheriff's department. You can't cut the highway department in any shape, form, or fashion. You can't
Right.
touch education.
Yeah.
So those three ought to be off the table, but everything else shouldn't be bundled. It ought to be debated, discussed, and voted on.
and voted on.
You
Yeah.
can't do those three so that you're where you're at.
Yeah. But what you get every year is one big package of about 5 or 6 resolutions,
And that's
comes
where
out of
sometimes
finance, and all you get's a yes
well,
or
and
no.
there's always
So,
4 or 5 little pet projects that are kind of hidden in there too.
yeah. Well, that's a whole other thing.
Sure.
One good thing that did come out at the committee meetings was the our fire chief right at the end mentioned that our
Oh, yeah.
fire department is going to be donating. They had some extra air packs and stuff that they were going to sell through surplus, and the committee decided rather than selling those items, we're going to donate those to departments in East Tennessee because obviously all the devastation out there, and that was a no brainer. That passed unanimously through that committee, so that was good, and
That's really
kudos to our fire department
Absolutely.
for that.
Mark
So.
Thomas does a really good job there.
Yeah, he does. No meetings I went to Wednesday. So Thursday, we had the school board meeting. And the item I was most looking forward to on the agenda didn't get a lot of discussion, but there was a little bit more. They did vote to approve this new construction manager at risk version of how we're going to build our projects for the moment. So the only discussion came when Brian Cruz asked if we're going to put a time limit on this because they've awarded it already. It's awarded to Bell Construction. So they collaborate with the architect and with with Jeff Sweeney, and they on each of these individual projects, they come up with what's called a guaranteed maximum price, and Bell Construction gets a percentage of that. Jeff gets a percentage of that. And then if they're actually able to build it for less than that guaranteed maximum price, you have an additional percentage that goes back to Bell Construction as kind of, I guess, a thank you for saving you money. So it's an interesting concept versus just going out and bidding the projects. Honestly, from what we were told from finance, even though the school board voted to allow this, they really didn't have a say in it because of the 1981 Act. The finance department was going to make this decision anyways. So this is now also going to happen at the county level. Buildings like our surplus building and some of the other ones now are going to be done the same way, which is this guaranteed maximum price. You don't put it out for a bid. Instead, it's a collaborative effort. And then you pick a price and, they try to build it for less than that and everybody's getting a piece of the pie. So not sure where you
We'll
stand
see.
on all that.
I don't know
So
about
there's,
that.
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it either because I don't like getting away from the bid process.
Right. Yeah. The bid process seems a little more open and transparent. You get 3 or 4 bids. You normally pick the lowest bid and, move forward with it. The argument from
Too
their
many hands in
side
the cookie jar for me here too.
feels like there's a lot of hands in the cookie jar. There's
That's just
no,
me.
yeah. And again, because of the 1981 Act, this whole finance department can just do this. I mean, you, as a county commissioner, you're not going to get a vote anymore on these projects. Once they're
I've said
funded
this
and in the
before, I'll
budget,
say it
they're
again.
done.
I think
Yeah.
we need to do it. I don't have the votes to do it, but I'm against the 1981 Act. I'm tired
Right.
of hearing about it.
Yeah.
The 57 Act.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's a legitimate act that other
Right.
counties go by. But
Sure. Yeah. A couple good things that did come out of the school board meeting. In this career and technical education, they approved building. They're going to build a barn at Cascade, so they're going to have an actual working farm at Cascade where they'll have cows and goats and the whole 9 yards. And you'll have students out there. They're going to be able to learn veterinary medicine. They're going to actually sell, I believe, beef cattle. So it's
I think
supposed
that's
to
wonderful.
supposed to become
anything
a-
we can do for agriculture in this
Right.
county and city is a wonderful thing because we're an agricultural based county.
right, and to get that education in high
Sure.
school without having to go on to college or something,
Absolutely.
they can come right out of
Absolutely.
high school and know how to
Sure.
know how to do that. Doing a similar building at Community, and they're actually doing a split. They're going to have a barn and do some agriculture. They're also going to build tiny homes there, so they're going to actually sell these tiny homes. So they're going to learn a little bit about construction
Good.
management, and
Good
then
stuff.
also agriculture there. Another positive, concession stands. They approved. And I've not been to either Cascade or Community, but I guess the concession stands were in rough shape.
Oh, yeah.
So they've needed some
Especially
love for a
community.
while.
Cascade
So
took really community.
yeah, so both of them are
That's
getting new concession stands, $150,000 each. And then the last item that David and I talked about a few weeks ago, and they approved this at the meeting, is we got what are called therapy dogs coming into our schools now. So these are dogs that I guess to make the kids feel better during the day. Honestly, I don't know exactly what they're doing with them. So, but you're now able to, through a process, get a certification. As a teacher, you can get your dog certified to be good therapy, and then they'll actually have dogs in the classroom with the kids and the teachers. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know. Only discussion I heard from one of the school board members was we should have some kind of limit. You don't want to walk into a school and have 50 dogs running around. So maybe a couple, maybe a handful is a good idea. But
there needs to be a limit on it. You're right.
Yeah, you're not turning the school into a zoo of some kind. So. Then last on our previous week rundown is we're in the middle of an election. So we got some voter turnout numbers over the first 2 days. We've currently got 29,260 active voters in Bedford County. And between Wednesday and Thursday, we had just under 10% showed up, 2,778. That's down slightly from 2020, but up almost 50% from 2016 numbers. So that's good. The big thing is, get out there and vote. I mean, we're not going to advocate for one direction or another where we want you to vote, but the important thing is to vote.
Absolutely.
So, our last primary election, we had 7%. So 93% of people didn't bother to vote. And I saw some comments. We did a little article earlier in the week where we posted voting records of the candidates. And I had some people come on there and say, oh, that August election wasn't worth my gas to drive and, to vote. But it had primaries for our national candidates. So the choices that were made in that August election decided who's going to represent Tennessee in the U.S. Senate for 6 years and who's going to represent us in the House of Representatives for the next 2 years. So that's a big thing. So I've realized, a lot of people don't like Washington politics and what's going on up there. But if you don't bother to vote, it's kind of hard to go online and complain.
Could make this comment that if you went and voted in the Democratic primary for president, it really didn't matter, did it?
Well, in that one, it did not. So,
saying.
In that particular one. But in the other ones in August, it did matter. Right, so,
absolutely.
So because in Tennessee, we know
that
that
have a presidential election here, the turnout's going to be big.
Yeah, turnout in the November election is going to be big. I mean, we've already passed in the first 2 days. We had more people vote than voted in the entire August election. So
it'll be big because of the presidential race. The numbers are always up, but still, are we going to hit 50% even then?
I looked in 2020, and I didn't find the Bedford County, but statewide we had 70% in 2020. So I would imagine, I'm hoping we get somewhere around there.
I would like to see 60, 70% at least.
Yeah, because for the next 4 years, whoever wins, we're going to have people on Facebook complaining. But if you're on there complaining and you didn't bother to vote, you really, don't have a whole lot you can say about it. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, and then I just want to give a shout out to our Times Gazette. David and I last week talked about the fact that we are in the middle of a local election. And there had been zero local media coverage of our local election. There had been nothing on the radio that I'd heard. I mean, I don't listen to radio 24 hours a day. But the newspaper, you can actually read the newspaper, and there had been nothing in the newspaper about the local election. And the Times Gazette took the effort this week. They reached out to every candidate that was running locally, even the ones in uncontested races, sent them a series of the same questions and got the answers back. And they had a nice cover article on that, and just, really appreciate that. Because if you're going to go out and vote, I realize a lot of it's popularity contest and a lot of people don't care a whole lot about the local race. But if you do want to make an informed decision, you need to have the information. So, and that's, by actually putting that in the paper, that was a good way to do that. So other than that, it was a quiet week countywide as far as local meetings. There was no other local meetings. We got a lot coming up next week, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Okay. But before we do that, let's hear from our sponsor one more time, Mr. Dennis Young.
With the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
Thank you again to Dennis Young Insurance for sponsoring the show, and a special thank you to Commissioner Bill Anderson for
Glad to
stepping
do it.
in for David Thomas, who's relaxing on a beach somewhere soon.
I bet he's in a car.
He's in a car headed to a beach,
There
is
you go.
what I hear. But at some point, he'll be relaxing on a beach.
Absolutely.
So again, not much happened in the previous week, but I've got a lot coming up in the upcoming week, at least me personally, and as well as locally. Just today at 2 o'clock at HV Griffin Park, Lewis Pavilion, there's what's called the Candidate Forum. This is the only public event that I've been able to find that has invited all 7 city council candidates to come out and answer questions from the public, kind of a Q&A, and let them give, where they stand on the issues and positions and whatnot. Unfortunately for me, it's sponsored by the Bedford County Listening Project, which I've already spoken to them, and I was very clear. I am not going to endorse their platform. If you go back and read our Facebook feed, possibly Sunday or Monday, we posted and reposted a couple articles. They were just on the losing side of a case at the Tennessee State Supreme Court. And even though the court didn't rule on their tactics, it was a real narrow ruling on something in particular. But if you actually read the case file, and some of the accusations against them were kind of alarming. So I was very clear to them that I'm not standing for any of their positions and signing their platform. But because this is an open candidate forum, it's open to all 7 candidates, open to the public, and there's not another one that I could find, I am going to go to
Is it going to
that
be on
and
video
answer.
anywhere? Is anybody videoing it? It's going to be online?
I'm hoping they video it. I may bring a camera myself and just set it up, and just so we have some video coverage if we need to. But other than this and the article in the paper, again, we're not seeing a whole lot of. I've done every interview that I've been offered.
At least they're having
yeah.
at least somebody's having.
At least somebody's trying.
Absolutely,
so
somebody's trying.
Yeah, Mr. Andres that does the he does the Spanish language. He early on reached out to all the candidates and tried to have one, and he wasn't successful on getting everybody together. And I honestly, I may go to this one day, and there may be 2 or 3 of us show up. So
it used to happen when I guess it was 10, 12 years ago, whenever I first got elected. You went up to the radio station and had to meet the candidates. They hadn't done that in years.
Right, or a town hall. We
even just
early
meet the candidates.
Yeah, meet the candidates. We were hoping there'd be a town hall
I will say
sometime.
something for David Thomas here at Shelbyville now.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it. He's as fair as you can get. And he's invited everybody.
Yeah, he tried. He wasn't successful. So not sure what's going on this particular cycle, but I will be at this event. There's actually another one that's not really a candidate forum. There's just a at the Rosenwald Center next Saturday. They're just having like a family day, and I'm just going to go to that again to get it. I'm trying to get to as many events as I can to meet as many people as I can. So, and that seems like what you would do if you're running for office. So, the big one that's currently going on this weekend, though, is the big Bell Buckle Craft Fair. That's the big one. They have people come in from all over for that. I've been
going to Murfreesboro for some reason, go to Beach Grove and go up that way. Stay away from 231.
Yeah, traffic. It's traffic fun. It's packed. It's people from all over. I've been a couple times, and great event. Weather's perfect this weekend. They couldn't ask for better weather. So they're not getting rained out or anything. So if you say there's never anything to do around, just go to Bell Buckle this weekend. You got something to do there. So
see Kenny and David Parker parking cars.
They're parking cars out here. So Tuesday this week we've got the County Financial Management Committee. They're meeting. I'll be at that. I go to all of those. We'll get updates on everything from current construction projects to financials. So if you're a math nerd like me, this is the one you go to. Thursday, 4 o'clock to 6:30 p.m., we have the Senior Citizen Center Barbecue Fundraiser. This is the first time that they're trying this. I went over there, and they gave me a little tour of the place. I guess they used to have, I can't remember what she said it was. They used to have some other kind of food fundraiser that was a big event. And they hadn't done one in a number of years, and they're looking for, to get funds like everybody else is. So this is a big thing. They're going to have a lot of people there. I'm going to be there for the first half. I'm helping serve. They invited anybody that's either in office or running for office to come in and help serve. I took the balance because I'm done with all my campaign and whatnot. I took the balance of my campaign funds and just wrote them a check as a donation to just clear out that bank account. And just a great, Senior Citizen Center is a great thing in our community.
This may be one of the best things in this community. You don't realize how many people that this affects.
Oh, yeah.
So I've had some of my constituents that had their spouses pass away. That,
yeah.
I will encourage them, hey, did you go in and check this out? And they act like they don't, and kind of call me back and say, place saved me.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, they walked me through. They had like a sitting room. They had like a sewing and a quilting room. They had a place with pool tables where they can play pool. They had all
Absolutely.
these events. They have lunch every day. I
Every
believe
day.
they have a lunch there. I think she said they maybe 55 seniors a day that are shunted at home that can't get to the center. They actually
And I
deliver the
think they're
meals
still
to them
doing
at
this,
home.
But Kroger there for a while was giving a card through the Senior Citizen Center, which helped seniors with groceries, because this is your forgotten class right here. Is the senior
Oh, it's
citizens.
the senior citizens. Yeah, absolutely.
They're on
So,
a real fixed income. They can't
Right.
go out and just get a job.
yeah.
And with all this inflation that we've got, it is really hurting seniors.
Yeah. So this is a good thing. Both the city and the county
It's a wonderful
contribute to
thing.
the Senior Citizen
Well
Center.
run, great center, the Senior Citizen Center. I encourage everybody to get out and support.
Yeah. So I think it's $12 for the barbecue. I think they ask that you buy tickets in advance. So they know how much barbecue to prepare. So you still got plenty of time. I'm sure you can find them on Facebook or on their
Sure.
website and reach out and get a ticket. And then Thursday, 6 o'clock, last meeting I'll be going to in the upcoming week. We have the City Planning Commission meeting. I've been going to those for about a year and a half now. This, in general, is a lighter agenda than they normally have. It seems like all the big developments are kind of in a holding pattern here. They're kind of waiting how things shake out in November. So I think November is going to be a big one. This one's a little more quiet. It should be about an hour-long meeting. But as always, as we talked about with the water issue, there's a lot of things going on in Shelbyville as far as planning and things to be
I
on the
encourage the
lookout
city
for.
and
So
the county planning commission to really check into this water thing. It's an issue.
yeah, I think the water thing is
It's a
could
big
be
deal. It could be a really big deal.
it's a really big deal. It's coming right down the pike, and we need a lot of proactive people looking ahead. We don't need to wait till
You gotta have water.
yeah. I mean, what if TDEC gives a number and cuts us off? It's too late at that point. We should be ahead of this. So.
Yes.
And other than that, that is the news that matters that we found for this week. And we'll be back here next week, same time, same channel, same place. And look forward to see all of you then. And have a good weekend.